if they don't make it to the finals, then this might be one of the biggest L's in NBA history.
Hot topics.
Embiid never had the mentality to win a championship. I don't think he ever will win a championship.
The best analysis.
But Jokic, he might be the best player in the league this season. He really might be the MVP.
This is the Full Court Report.
And we're back.
Episode 30.
Yes, sir.
Episode 30. 30 episodes this season already.
Is that more than last season?
I think we probably got around 40 or 41, I want to say.
Dang. All right.
So,
We're looking good.
We still got a ways to go, but I think we're on pace. So we'll see. But we're doing well. Yeah. We got a little fun show planned. We're going to play Trend or Dead End, which is becoming kind of a, staple for us. I think it's the third time we're going to do it. But before we do that, Justin brought this to our attention, obviously, Mr. New York. So Mikal Bridges is trying to start up something here in New York. I don't know what's going on. He's trying to blow up the team, it seems like. No, not really. This past Wednesday, this was prior to a game against the Trailblazers. Mikal, he was meeting with the media, and he was asked by reporters whether Coach Tom Thibodeau gets too much criticism for overplaying or over-relying on his starters. And Mikal's response was interesting, and I think this is why we want to talk about it. He says, "Sometimes it's not fun on the body, but you want that as a coach. But also, talk to him a little bit, knowing that we've got a good enough team where our bench guys can come in and we don't need to play 48 or 47 minutes. We've got a lot of good guys on this team that can take away minutes, which helps the defense, helps the offense, helps tired bodies being out there and giving up all these points. It helps just keeping fresh bodies out there." So, I don't know. I think this has definitely been a talking point for, honestly, I feel like a long time when it comes to Tom Thibodeau. Kind of, even when he was back in Chicago, obviously, I think Derrick Rose's injury and his, reliance on just keeping a, smaller rotation has always been part of Tom Thibodeau's, coaching ideal, I guess. But I'm curious to know what you guys think of Mikal's comments and also just the distribution of minutes for these Knicks players from Coach Thibodeau.
Well, I'll go first because I got a lot to say here. So everybody, strap in. Let's get ready here. I partially agree with Mikal Bridges. When we have a mostly healthy squad, the bench team would be Cameron Payne, Miles McBride, Landry Shamet, Precious Achiuwa, and Mitchell Robinson, depending on what Tibbs does, because he's currently on a minutes restriction. So when he's back and, fully ramped up, who knows what Tibbs will do. I think he'll probably have Mitch at the 5 and then Cat come out at the 4. But Miles McBride, I think I said it earlier this year, I expect a big year out of Miles McBride, and he's delivered on that. He's having a great year so far. I think the bench team, for what it is it's good enough to let OG and Mikal and Josh Hart get off the floor for a couple minutes. The only thing about this whole scenario that is a little fishy to me is Tibbs was asked about it after the game and had said that him and Mikal actually never had a conversation about minutes. They never had any type of conversation about minutes distribution or rest or anything like that. But from what I've noticed, Tibbs and most other teams do this, honestly, anyway. Most times Tibbs is leaving at least one starter out there when he starts to bring in some bench players. Usually two starters are out there regardless. So I don't know if it's just a matter of the guys figuring out like, yo, Tibbs, this is when the best time for, me to come out during this game, whatever it is. It's a real locker room thing, but Tibbs does make a good point. Um, the reason that they're playing all these minutes is because they're getting matched up with teams' primary scorers. When they're playing the Boston Celtics, OG and Mikal are guarding Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. When they're playing Kevin Durant, they're matched up on one of them. Devin Booker, same thing. So it's not that they're playing too many minutes just because Tibbs has them matched up against the other team's best player. So he's trying his best to match the minutes as close as he can. So it just so happens that Mikal Bridges, OG, and Josh Hart are all top 10 in minutes, but that's because they are elite wing defenders. That is their job. Um, Hold on, let me get all organized here.
I mean, yeah. I mean, do you want me to jump in? You can.
Yeah. Jump in.
I
jump
feel
in.
like I think what somewhat it could, I think Mikhail's comments, I think they somewhat come off as if he's complaining. I think some people might hear that, but I really do feel like what he's saying is for like the betterment of the team. So New York, they have a top 5 offense this season. They've been a very good offense all year, led by Brunson, Cat. But defensively, they have kind of been middle of the pack. I don't want to say they're like terrible, but I think also, with Tom Thibodeau as your head coach, I think the expectation might be even higher. So being like an average defense is kind of alerted a lot of people in the media too,
You actually bring up a nice little segue for me. The best part about, well, not really the best part, but a convenience about this whole, minutes distribution situation in New York is Mitchell Robinson is back. He helps, because we've been thin at center all year, and just as Mitchell Robinson came back, we lost Ariel Hukporti. So we still only have 3 big men, and then recently Cat has been in and out, so it's been really down to 2. But before Mitchell Robinson returned on February 28th, the Knicks were 21st in defensive rating. Since that point, the Knicks are 3rd behind Detroit and Toronto. So I've been saying it all year. I've been saying it basically since we started the show. Mitchell Robinson is an elite defender. He deserves way more respect than he gets. But to wrap my part up real quick, I think at this point in the season, the Knicks have played 65 games and we're 5 games ahead of the Bucks for the 3rd seed. So, I agree with both sides a little bit. I agree that the Knicks were good enough to maybe let Mikal Bridges and the other guys get 5 to 6 less minutes a game because they are all over 40, I'm pretty sure. So if they could get down to 35, 34 minutes a game, that's still plenty of time to stay competitive throughout the game and let them just get some rest, to get ready for the playoffs. But Tibbs is also kind of right because if we want to be an elite team during the playoffs, they're going to be playing these types of minutes anyway, probably more during the playoffs. So, I don't know. It's a tough little thing. It's been Tibbs's kind of kryptonite for his whole career. The guy always plays his starters way too many minutes, but he's always coached good teams. He's always coached playoff contending teams, so you can't knock it.
Go ahead, Toby.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's a great look, especially at this point of the year. And especially, like you said, Justin, the fact that Tibbs openly said they haven't had a conversation about the minutes, and it sounds like Mikhail's kind of, complaining a little bit. It does concern me a little bit. I mean, one thing I will say is I think that the Knicks put together a squad that works for Tibbs as far as like if he was coaching the Warriors or a team with a lot of old players like maybe Dallas or something like that where the stars are a little bit older. Clippers. I don't think this will work out, but um, the last thing you want to see is somebody go down with a few games left in the regular season, and then they're out for the playoffs, so they're out for the first couple of rounds, and that messes up the entire team. So I feel like maybe if it was a situation where they played average minutes as far as the rest of the compared to the rest of the NBA for the first half of the season, and then they start ramping it up, come playoff time. Because I don't think it's great to have all these miles on these players. At the end of the season, they're tired, and then they got to ramp it up for the playoffs. But Mitch being back, Knicks, I think they're looking pretty good as far as the rest of the season is concerned. So
Yeah,
I'm just
and
I'm a little concerned, but it could work out. We'll see.
yeah, and to kind of like piggyback off of what you just said, Toby. I mean, I kind of I hope that we got rid of the injury bug just in time because right now we have Brunson and like I said earlier, Ariel Hukporti out. Um, Brunson, I think they said on March 7th he would be reevaluated in 2 weeks. So that is, it's already been a week since then, a little over a week since then. So if he's back, next 2 weeks, still got, I don't know, probably 10-ish games after that until the playoffs. He'll be coming back off that injury, good to go. And if we can just avoid injury for 10 games, 15, 10 games, we got a fully healthy squad going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I really don't think this comment from Mikal has anything to do with like fear of getting injured. I know that I don't know. I think again, I think injuries are going to happen. I think injuries are just a unfortunate like reality of the NBA. But really, I think he's just making the point that depth matters, right? Like depth matters when you're competing for a title, and I think he's right. But I also feel like personnel wise, in terms of the roster construction of New York, Tom Thibodeau is struggling to find the right rotation when three of your primary bench players this year in McBride, Campaign, and Shamit are like all 6'3" or smaller. And I'm not saying they're bad players, but I think at the end of the day, it's hard to justify like, I'm going to take out OG Anunoby and put in Cameron Payne. You know what I'm saying? And that's like a hard thing to do at times, matching up with other teams. So I feel like they could honestly, and maybe this is something they do in the offseason, address like getting a backup small forward type player to where you're not really losing a ton of size with this lineup. But go ahead.
I don't want to cut you off, but you just, the light bulb lit up real quick. When we get Mitch back in the starting lineup, if that's what happens, more than likely Josh Hart will be moved to the bench. So that will definitely help out with things. But I do agree with you, Jory, that other than those three, OG, Mikal, and Josh Hart, our wing depth is it's nothing, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and again, sometimes it works because I think you have a guy like Josh Hart who can play, who can lead the league in minutes. You have, Mikal, who's been an Iron Man. He doesn't really get hurt ever. So that works. And OG Anunoby, I mean, I think he's definitely dealt with his fair share of injuries, but I feel like a pretty durable guy and definitely someone who makes a major impact. So I don't know. I feel like right now the Knicks are just kind of all in on like a couple of guys. And, sometimes that works, I think. But it's tough in a league with Cleveland and a league with, Boston, who can really play, comfortably. I think like 8 or 9 players. It's just tough.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, if we're being honest, I'm more scared of the Celtics than I am of Cleveland because I'm pretty sure the last 2 years, Actually, maybe it wasn't last year. I don't think we played Cleveland in the playoffs, but I think in 2021, our first round matchup was Cleveland. It was the year when Donovan Mitchell was almost going to the Knicks, and then last minute was a Cav. That year, we beat them in the playoffs. Like it was nothing. I think we beat them in 5 games.
This is a
Yeah.
different team. You should be scared. This is a much
I don't
different team.
know. I don't know.
I mean, we'll talk about it because they're part of our trend or dead end. So we'll talk about the Cavs a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess all I'll say is somebody's got to lead the league in minutes. And
Yeah.
it's probably going to be a player on Tom Thibodeau's team. Let's be honest.
I mean, hey, I on Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart's podcast, both of them said that, that's what they train for. They prepare their bodies to play all these minutes. So at least those two are locked in and they don't mind. But I'm not too worried about Mikal Bridges kind of just voicing his opinion. Like people are gonna take it as complaining, but he's not wrong. He's not too wrong. It's, both sides, have their rights and wrongs. So
Yeah. Oh, totally. Interesting. We'll see how the Knicks season plays out. Yeah. Should be interesting. But now I want to get into our trend or dead end. Yeah, so basically, I mean, like we said, we've done this before. I'll share some happenings around the league, and you just got to tell me whether you think it's a trend or a dead end. And I want to start in New Orleans with Zion Williamson. He's posted 2 triple doubles in the last 2 weeks after not having any triple doubles through the first 4 seasons of his career. And he recently said that this is the best he's felt offensively and defensively. So I don't know. I mean, I think there's been a lot of conversation about, his playing weight fluctuating a lot. But he's been healthy recently, and I think he's been playing very well despite New Orleans, I think, already being eliminated from the playoffs. So my question to you guys is Zion's consistency and availability a trend or a dead end?
Christopher, what are you thinking?
I like this trend. I like this as a trend. I think I don't know how much longer he has left on his contract or whatever, but recently, actually for a decent amount of time now, he's been playing really, really well, averaging the best stats of his career. He, like I said, he looks really healthy. Like he looks at a healthy playing weight. I feel like there's a chance, we may see him on another team soon. And if that's the case, especially if it's on a contender, that might lead to a dip in his points per game or whatever the case may be. But I don't think that will take away from his efficiency and, consistency, as long as he continues to stay healthy and, manage his weight and all that, whatever he has to do.
Yeah, I agree with Toby. I think I would love to see this trend continue. Just real quick, over his last 10 games, almost 24 points per game, a little over 7 rebounds, and just under 6 assists per game, shooting 59% over 29 minutes a game. So, he's out there playing starter minutes, obviously, doing his thing. And other than a 1-game suspension on January 10th for being late to a team flight, he has played every game since January 7th, which, that's really only 2 months if you think about it. But 2 months straight from Zion's got to be a good sign. And I'm not sure what he was out with to start the season, but he did miss a pretty good chunk of the season. So I don't know, but he's doing all right. He's playing good recently. I'd like to see the trend continue.
Yeah, I think I'm also going to say trend. I think we talked about Zion a little bit in the past. I think we were talking about him and Paolo, comparing those two. But, it's been very interesting when you watch Zion. I think he's basically a non-shooter. he's only taken 2 threes in the last 15 games. So he's not shooting threes like period, pretty much. But despite that, I feel like he's been very effective kind of as like a ball handler. Like I said, he's gotten 2 triple doubles in the last 2 weeks, so he's playing a little bit more point guard role for New Orleans right now. I just feel like his vision is incredible, like to me, and his ability to pass. Like I feel like those are 2 different things, right? I think some players can definitely see, openings that not everyone else can see, but also the ability to get the pass to your teammate is also, something you have to have as a skill set to really be effective. And I feel like he has that. And of course, his touch around the rim and finishing ability is basically the best in the league, efficiency wise. Like him and Giannis, that's really what you think about. Like when he gets to the rim, he's probably scoring. Like it's basically that is his go-to skill set. And the fact that he is, 260 pounds, an incredibly explosive athlete. And I feel like his ball handling is very underrated for someone his size and speed. So to me, I just feel like, I don't know if New Orleans is going to keep him around. Who knows what happens, this offseason. They might get the number 1 pick. That could change everything. Maybe they decide to just move on from Zion. But if they do want to keep him around in New Orleans, I feel like it'd be interesting to see if they build around him more as a point guard, not necessarily like the lead guard, but someone who's going to have the ball in his hands more often than not, instead of kind of being more of a power forward center who's playing off the ball more, cutting, stuff like that. So I don't know. They could have a really interesting young team if they do decide to move that direction. But I've really enjoyed what I've seen from Zion, and yeah, I'm gonna say trend.
I'm rooting for him.
Yeah. So shout out Zion, playing well. But up next, we got a team that's not playing so well, and that is the Phoenix Suns. They are 31-36 at the moment, 11th in the West. They are a game and a half back of Dallas for the final play-in spot. And with they only 15 games left. It's really getting down to the wire here. They still have to play the Celtics twice, Cleveland, New York, Oklahoma City, the Bucks twice, the Warriors, and the Rockets. I mean, that is it's actually, in terms of everyone's winning percentage, the hardest remaining schedule in the NBA. So, with that being said, trend or dead end, the Suns will miss the play-in tournament.
Well, like you said, game and a half behind the Mavericks. They are just completely a dismantled team right now. I actually saw a thing that they might have to start forfeiting games because they're under the 8-player roster limit. So whether or not the Suns make the play-in is almost completely dependent on them. If they could just win literally even 5 games over these next 15 games, they should probably make the play-in over the Mavericks. And in my opinion, it would be, I mean, almost in everybody's opinion, I think they would say that if the Suns were in it over the Mavericks, the play-in would be a lot more competitive, which is just what everybody wants. So I hope it's a dead end that they miss the play-in. And yeah, I mean, they just gotta, I don't know, they just gotta lock in. Like, that is a tough schedule coming up, but they just gotta grind it out and get a win along that way. Hopefully not against New York.
Yeah. Toby?
I think I disagree with you. I think this is a dead end. I don't think the Suns will see the plan this year.
So
I
it's
feel
a
like,
trend. You're saying it's a trend that they miss it.
Yeah, this is a
yeah,
little
I'm sorry. It's a
trend,
trend.
as in trending towards missing the playoffs. Yeah, this is a little confusing. But
Yes.
yes.
All right. I think they'll miss the play-in. That's what I'm going to say. But I feel like I also took a look at the schedule. I think it's just too tough at this point for them. The players seem like they don't care, and I don't think they really care if they make the playoffs. I think this is just kind of a throwaway season for them. As far as, KD is concerned, and Bradley Beal said he's open to trades this offseason. So it's I don't think they're going to be really that competitive. I could be wrong, but I don't think they seem like they're going to be that competitive, to end this season. And it's going to be tough with the Mavericks. Justin, you did make some good points about, I did see that, there's a possibility of them forfeiting some games. But also, I think I could be wrong, but I think the Trailblazers are just a couple games behind. So if they can go on a winning streak, Mavericks lose and the Suns continue to lose games, then we could see them in the plan. I think the Kings, I think they're going to be okay. They're on a bit of a losing streak as well, but I feel like they have a good enough squad to win enough games to make the 9th or 10th seed. So I think, as talented as the Suns roster is, I'm going to go trend. They're going to miss the playoff. They're the play-in this year. And I think the team's going to explode during this offseason.
Wow. Yeah. I agree with you, Toby. I say trend. This team is not making the play-in tournament. And I totally, your argument about the Mavericks is the Mavericks, it's insane. Wow. I don't even know. But anyway, I don't know. I just don't really believe in the Suns team right now. And like I mentioned, they do have the hardest remaining schedule in the league. And who knows, maybe like down the stretch of the season, a lot of those teams that are at the top of the standings, maybe they rest some starters and, getting ready for the playoffs. So maybe actually this could be an advantage. But regardless, I just feel like defensively, they've never really found their identity. And offensively, I don't know. I just feel like, obviously Booker and Durant are going to be efficient. But again, I just don't know if they have anything, like I said, as an identity right now. And I just don't think that really works as a team. Like you said, Toby, I feel like after this season for Phoenix, it's going to look a lot different. I fully believe that Durant is going to get traded this season or this offseason. I just don't understand why they would keep him around. And who knows what that means for, Bradley Beal and Devin Booker. So it's going to be a crazy, crazy offseason, but I just don't really see this team going on a winning streak, I guess, at this point in the season, really turning it around and then making any type of noise in the play-in. But yeah,
They do make the plan, though. Maybe they start trying. I think they can beat a team. We'll see, though. That's if that happens. I don't think it will.
Yeah. I don't know. So much for Mike Budenholzer making a change. He didn't really do much. But anyway.
He made it worse.
Anyway, moving on. I want to talk about a team on the opposite end of the spectrum, the Timberwolves, who are actually in the 7th seed right now, so would be the top seed in the play-in tournament. But they have been an interesting stat here with Julius Randle in the lineup. Minnesota has won 12 straight games. And I don't know, it's funny. We were talking about the Knicks a little bit earlier. Julius Randle over there in Minnesota really changing Minnesota's fortunes at the perfect time. They've also just won 7 straight games. But like I said, right now, they are right on the heels of the Warriors for the 6th seed. So they would not have to participate in the play-in tournament if that were the case, if they were to flip, spots. But trend or dead end, Minnesota has finally cracked the code with Randle, and they are going to continue their winning ways with him available.
Like you said, I had wrote these notes yesterday or the day before, so I guess I'm a game behind. But like you said, they won 12 in a row with Julius Randle playing. He's been in and out with injuries, but with Randle playing in the game, they have not lost since January 20th. That could just be, the last however many games, 7. I think you said 7 games they've been on a win streak for. That could have just been those 7 games, but they haven't lost since January 20th with Randle. And he's been a really good playmaker for them recently. when he's not getting all salty over a missed call or a bad play, Julius Randle's pretty composed and uh, you know, good facilitator for the Timberwolves. He was great on the Knicks, even with Brunson, but prior to Brunson, he was a, major ball handler for the Knicks. So, when he's locked in, he can run an offense. He's a great passer. And saw a neat little stat that said that when Julius Randle is playing, Anthony Edwards shoots 7.1% better from three. So, with all that being said, I'm going to say the Timberwolves' success and Julius Randle's success is going to be a trend.
Yeah, I was kind of on the fence with this one because I really believe in the Warriors team, as far as uh not having to play a playing game this year. But um when Julius Randle's playing well, like I feel like it kind of just makes everybody better. And this team, I think there was a lot of frustration throughout the entire season, and Julius Randle comes back and they start winning. So I think that brings good energy to the team. And taking a look at their remaining schedule, it's really not too difficult. They play a lot of bad teams, just quite frankly. So uh, I think they do it. I think they're going to overtake the Warriors. I think it's going to be close. It might come down to a game or two. But I think as long as Julius Randle stays in the lineup, I think they overtake the Warriors. They get that 6 seed. I don't see the Lakers falling, behind them. But I think this is a trend. I think they're going to continue winning, but I don't think that winning will continue into the playoffs.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I think ultimately, it's a dead end in the sense that they're just going to be undefeated with Randle in the lineup. Like, I don't think that's going to continue necessarily. But I think I might disagree with you a little bit, Toby. I actually think the Minnesota Timberwolves are my sleeper pick to win the West right now. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know if they're my favorite. I don't think they're my favorite, but they're a lot higher, I think, in my mind than probably the majority of people. I personally think they are probably maybe the second best team in the West
Wow. I don't know about
when the
that.
playoffs come around.
I mean, they did just beat the Nuggets, right?
I feel like they have the Nuggets number in a potential 2-7 matchup in the first round. I think they can beat Houston in a playoff series. I think Memphis is going to be probably a little bit competitive, especially with everyone healthy for Memphis. But I think, again, that could go either way in my mind. And then the Lakers, they've definitely had, an interesting run here with Luka, but LeBron's been injured. That's kind of a little bit concerning going into the playoffs. And also, I just don't know with this size issue again, with really only having one center on the roster, how that's going to match up with a pretty big team like Minnesota. And then the Warriors, you know what I'm saying? I feel like any of those teams, I feel like it go either way in a playoff series. And then we could have a conversation about OKC, but I feel like it really could go either way in a lot of these playoff series. And so, yeah, we'll see.
I think I'm taking the Warriors over them. And the Nuggets, too. I'm going to take the Nuggets over them.
I agree with you a little bit, Jorie, but I think the reason, not particularly the reason, but a reason why you feel like the Timberwolves could go either way with any matchup is just because that's what it's like with every team in the West. You could really just be like, we could really get the 6th seed, whoever that might be. They might even make it out of the West just because of how competitive it is. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. The West, I can't even tell you. I couldn't even tell you who's making it out of the West, but I know for a fact the Knicks are making it out of the East. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, here we go.
No, sir. Not even close.
Yeah. No, I mean, the Timberwolves are just really interesting to me. Defensively, I feel like they have a really good team still. I feel like Gobert's still, I don't know. definitely gets a little bit too much disrespect, I think, for how good he is defensively. I know it might be funny to watch him like try and guard Steph Curry out on the perimeter, but like he's definitely making an impact that isn't as flashy, I guess, every single game. And then he's surrounded by, Jaden McDaniels. Forget which one. There's too many Jadens. There's too many McDaniels. Jalen. Definitely, and obviously a positive defender. And I think when he locks in, he's a great defender. And then, like you said, Randle is just, I don't know. I think in New York, he was definitely, like you said, had some, I don't know, issues with his character, being whatever, hustling, stuff like that. But I feel like in Minnesota, I feel like he's bought in a lot of the times. I feel like he hustles. I feel like he's definitely working on that end of the floor a lot. And then Mike Conley is like a scrappy defender. DiVincenzo, hustle guy. So I feel like they have a really good and deep team. Naz Reid, obviously, another great player.
Exactly.
So I don't know. And I think this team made the Western Conference Finals last year. So I don't know if it would really be a shock to me if they did it again. But we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any final words? But
I don't know. No, I just hope Julius Randle keeps playing well.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on. Now we move to the very top of the standings. That is the Cleveland Cavaliers. And they have won 16 straight games, which is a franchise record, a Cleveland franchise record. Very impressive, to think that LeBron never achieved that. Obviously, a winning streak takes more than just one player, but he definitely had some great teams. So they need to go 14-2 over their final 16 games to get to 70 wins. And they would be joining the 96 Bulls and the 2016 Warriors as the only teams to ever win 70 or more games in a season. So, trend or dead end, the Cavs will win 70 games this year.
I haven't looked at their schedule, but winning 14 of 16 would be crazy, even though they're on a 16-game win streak right now. And especially with how big of a lead they have over Boston for the first seed, I doubt they play their starters for the rest of the season. So I'm 100% saying dead end. There's no way they hit 70 wins. No way.
Okay. Toby?
So this is like I agree with Justin. I think it's all about if that's their goal. If they're trying to aim for that, I think they can definitely do it. I don't think going 14-2 for a team that good is like, unheard of. Like that's definitely possible. For a 70-win team, like that's no problem at all. But I think it comes down to, they have such a big lead over the Celtics in the East so far. Do they really want to aim for this regular season, milestone instead of just, giving the players a couple games, focusing up on the playoffs? And I'm kind of on the side that they will plan on resting some players before the playoffs. They'll be 67 or whatever wins. That's good enough. They're going to be, if one seed, it's not going to impact anything else as far as the playoffs go. So although I think it's very possible if they want to get it, I think they can get it. I think this is a dead end.
All right. So I just wanted to mention something interesting about this. And it kind of has a historical precedent. So during like I mentioned, the only two teams that ever won 70 games were Golden State in 2016 and Chicago in 1996. But Golden State's season, when they won 73 games, the San Antonio Spurs also won 67 games that season, which was the only time I think two teams had won 67 or more games in a single season, like two teams, I guess. The Thunder are on pace to win 67 games. So I feel like maybe OKC pushing Cleveland, to be the top seed in the NBA and potentially have home court advantage in the NBA Finals could drive Cleveland to 70 wins. And I feel like that might actually push them to 70, which would be, again, historic. So I don't know. I think I'm going to say trend. I think they're going to do it. This team right now is honestly unbelievable. I think offensively, it's so crazy to watch how efficient they are. I forget who it was on the broadcast the other night, but they just mentioned that basically Cleveland does not take bad shots. The shots that they're taking, especially for each of these individual players, like Darius Garland taking pull-up threes or spot-up threes, like one of the most efficient shooters in the league. You get it down to Jared Allen or Evan Mobley, who can finish, 60, 70% at the rim. Incredibly efficient shot. Donovan Mitchell, basically anywhere on the floor. Incredibly efficient shot. Max Strus running around shooting threes. They just really don't have players that take bad shots, essentially. And I feel like offensively, they just can run up the score against pretty much anyone in the league. And defensively, they're still a very solid team as well. Evan Mobley's, in my opinion, on pace to win Defensive Player of the Year. So they just have a really good all-around team. And like I said, I feel like OKC also, going for a high win total this season could push Cleveland to 70 wins. And at that point, then there's going to have to be some, conversations of if Cleveland does not win a title, I don't know. That I feel like that has historical precedent as well.
That's a good point. I didn't consider number one seed in the finals. I was just looking at the East.
Yeah, no, that is a good point. But I want to just, kind of disagree with you. I don't know, dude. I feel like with what we saw with the Warriors, if they set this regular season goal to hit that 70 wins and then they hit it, it might just kind of take the pressure off of winning a finals. I don't know. I just kind of feel like with the Warriors, even though, they probably were sweeping teams in the playoffs prior to playing the Cavs in the finals, they just kind of, I don't know. They lost a 3-1 lead. You don't do that in the finals. First time it ever happened in the NBA. So, I don't know. I just feel like going for a regular season goal that doesn't particularly matter too much would kind of, I don't know, it would give them the time to think to themselves, oh, we can kind of take the foot off the gas a little bit.
No, I hear what you're saying. I get what you're saying, definitely. But I just feel like they win with such ease. I don't really know how else to put it. I just feel like regardless of who they're playing right now, it doesn't matter. I feel like they're just winning games, and it could just happen naturally,
I might even say that I wouldn't maybe say best starting lineup in the league, but I feel like they have the glitchiest lineup in the league because they have two, just insane ball handlers who can create shot wherever they want on the floor for themselves at an elite level, and then just two 7-footers who are lockdown rim protectors, and one Evan Mobley who is pretty mobile and can space the floor a little bit. So I just it's too hard of a matchup for every team basically. Even thinking about it with the Knicks, we got all these wing defenders. They're going to be kind of useless against Cleveland because their elite players aren't wings. So I don't know.
Should be scared of them.
I am. You know what? I take back what I said about 10 minutes ago. I think I'm more scared of Cleveland than I am of Boston.
I don't know, man. They're going to be very interesting. This postseason going to be a blast to watch, I think, these playoff series. But yeah, shout out Cleveland. They're doing their thing. But another guy who's been doing his thing is SGA out there in Oklahoma City. Like we said, just talked about the Thunder. So But I saw this. I forget where. I think I saw this on Twitter the other day. SGA, he became the fastest player in Thunder history to reach 10,000 points. And previously, it was Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant did it in 381 games. SGA has done it in 368 games. So, pretty close. Like, Kevin Durant also started his career with this franchise. So, he had his rookie season. And not to say he was bad his rookie season, but you're not in your prime rookie season. SGA, he actually played just one season in LA, and then he moved to OKC. He's been in OKC for 6 years already, which I don't know. For me, that kind of threw me off, but I was like, oh, wow, he's really been around. So he's already 8th in OKC's history in points. He's 10th in assists and 11th in steals. He has 2 years left on his current contract, and he's eligible for a supermax contract this offseason, which would be 4 years. I think if he in that final year of his contract, he would become the first $80 million player for a single season. Absolutely insane. But anyway, if he repeats the production that he had through his first 6 seasons, again over the next 6 seasons, he would be first in Thunder history in points, 4th in assists, and 5th in steals. I think he's probably the leading favorite right now for MVP. We'll see. Obviously, that could change, but
I'm
probably.
giving it to Jokic.
Okay, we'll see. But obviously, this team, this is the second consecutive year they've been the 1 seed. So they're going to probably be competing for titles. Obviously, he's going to rack up a ton of wins. So my trend or dead end here. Is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on pace to be the best Thunder player of all time?
Yeah. I think at this point he has no reason to leave OKC. Although he's going to be due a supermax contract, making it, a little bit more challenging to keep the rest of the team around. I think he's good enough, and as long as they can keep Chet Holmgren around, that is a good enough duo with whoever they decide to keep around or have, as role players, supporting players. That's a good enough duo to be a contender more likely than not every year. So I don't think there's any reason Shai Gilgeous-Alexander would leave OKC other than, he's the aura king right now in the NBA. He might just want to go to a big market, but that means missing out on a super contract. So I think he stays, and if he does stay, I think he is trending towards being OKC's greatest player of all time.
Wow. Toby?
I'm with you, and I agree with that. I feel like if he ends up, which it looks like he is, but if he ends up at the end of the season with an MVP, then the only missing piece is a championship. Because just one MVP, even if he wins another one, I put him in the same boat as Westbrook, Durant, whoever you want to name from the Thunder. He's got to win a championship, and because at the end of the day, that's what's most important. If you bring a championship to OKC, and you get the stats to back it up, then you're unequivocally the GOAT, or the GOAT of OKC, I should say. But I think it's possible. I think it's likely. The only thing I'm concerned about is with players moving around nowadays to different teams. You never know. Everything could seem fine, at one moment, and then he gets traded or he requests a trade, and then the team, implodes and he's somewhere else. Like I never thought Luka was going to get traded this season. I thought he was going to be, one of the best Mavericks of all time. So I could see something like that happening, but if he stays on the team, if he, stays healthy consistently over a long period of time, and if he gets a championship, I think he'll be the best Thunder player of all time.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up, Toby, but I think everybody's got to relax with this Luka Doncic trade nonsense. I saw so many players just be like, "Oh, well, he's getting traded. I wonder what's I think Anthony Edwards said it. He was like, "Oh, I could get moved tomorrow night." I think everybody's got to relax. I think Nico Harrison just doesn't know what he's doing. He made the worst trade of all time, and that's it. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
but
think that's going to keep continuing and happening. Oh, SGA gets traded for, whoever. Like, I don't think
all
that's
right. So that all right.
Justin
So something
Bieber.
like that, it might be unlikely, but I mean, you know how many players nowadays they start off the season slow and then they request a trade.
No,
I
I
thought
get what you mean.
I
I get
thought the
what you
Suns
mean.
were going to be a much better team than they have been, and all the players went out there. So like, you know,
I
maybe
think
it doesn't work out.
I think with the Thunder, it's more about just players since they've been playing so well on the Thunder that when their contract is up, other teams are going to be offering them so much money that they kind of have to leave OKC, kind of like what happened with Hartenstein going to OKC. The Knicks just couldn't afford him, so we had to let him go. I feel like at a certain point, especially if SGA signs a supermax contract, that's going to happen. Like it's inevitable. Players are just going to not, the team's not going to have enough money to pay for him to stay. So,
Well, I think, like you said, Toby, SGA, he's got to win a title. I think without a title, it's forever Russell Westbrook. I feel
Really?
like
Russell
Yeah.
Westbrook didn't win a title though.
he did. He didn't, but he did get to a finals. But like I said, if SGA wins a title, it might be hard to argue against it. Because that would obviously change everything. But I think Russ, not only the triple double king, winning an MVP with averaging a triple double, something historic. Obviously sticking around. I think culturally, after Kevin Durant leaves, and you stick around, try and remain competitive without him. Obviously, they had some good years there when they brought in Paul George, but like, I don't know. I think that obviously contributes to it as well. But we'll see. I think SGA is definitely on pace to lead a lot of these all-time categories, and I just feel like that speaks to SGA's insane level of play right now. To me, I think he's the MVP. So, Shane Gillis Alexander.
You got to start giving more respect to your guy, Jory.
Wow.
Jokic is the MVP.
What a wild picture you have too.
Nah, that's sick.
That's
What about
insane.
Shane? Nah, that's tough.
I don't know. We'll see. I think the MVP. I don't know. Last time Jokic didn't win an MVP, he won a title. So I mean, I'm good. I'm good if you don't win. But anyway, yeah, that's all I got. I don't know if you guys got anything else.
Yeah, no, I don't got nothing.
I just want to say I'm upset today because we just got the news Cam Thomas is out for the year. So wish him the best. He's gonna come back stronger, better than ever next year. And he's gonna steal that MVP. So
Oh,
get well soon, Cam Thomas. And let's tank. Let's get Cooper. Let's get somebody good
It's
from this
too late
draft.
for that, guys. It's too late for that.
Nah, there's still a lot of games to be played.
yeah, it's time. I mean, March Madness starts, I think, next week. So lock in. This is if you want to, really lock in on draft prospects. Obviously, some of the top players aren't going to be in the tournament, but there's going to be a lot of players in the draft playing in this tournament. So, yeah, lock in.
Yeah, that bald dude out of Auburn is pretty sick. I don't know the guy's name, but he's pretty sick.
Shout out the Tigers. Yeah, well, good stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry we couldn't have Spencer on, but it is what
Yeah.
it is.
After making his debut 2 episodes ago, he's already out with load
Are we
management.
just like the Philadelphia 76ers of podcasts?
Yeah.
Is that what this is?
Nah.
We just
We're
can't stay healthy.
We're consistent.
No, me and Jory are there. Toby every once in a while needs a load management game. But yeah, no, Spencer's kind of like our Zion a little bit, kind of.
It's okay. All right. Well, good stuff. And yeah, until next time, we'll be seeing you.
Subscribe, like the video, follow everything.
Peace.